Hey, Donald Miller, Donald Miller's Electrical Services. So, I was talking to a helper the other day, and the helper's new to the trade, and he's not understanding the ladder in the electrical trade to go from being a helper to being a mechanic. He thinks it's a given. So he thinks just by being on the site or by showing up as a helper, that the next step will be, an apprentice. All right. And it doesn't work that way. Just showing up doesn't, it's half the battle, but it's not a guarantee that you're going to go further in this trade. There's a lot more to it. So I want to go over this, and I'll give a couple examples. So when we reference a third year mechanic, all right, that doesn't necessarily mean he's been in the trade for 3 years. We're stating a third year mechanic as a certain education level, a fourth year mechanic, okay, like a fifth year, you're on your way to becoming a master electrician. All right. So if you were looking at, like, your apprenticeship should roughly take about 5 years. Okay. It doesn't. If you're really quick and you're on top of it, it can be shorter. But it can also be a lot longer. There's mechanics that are in this trade that are third year mechanics, and they've been doing it for 10 years. And we went over that a couple months ago with a guy that he's been doing it for 10 years, and he's not really better than maybe a 2.5 year in mechanic or a 3 year in mechanic. That being said, let's go back to this helper in this conversation I'm having with him. So he's in the trade now for about 6 months, but he's acting as if he started last week. And it's because when he goes and sweeps a room out, he sweeps a room out, but he doesn't really give any effort to it. He thinks it's mundane. He thinks it's beneath him. When in reality, if you were to go and sweep a room out for 30 days, okay, every day you sweep the same room out. By the 30th day, that sweep out should be better than the first one. Not because you've done it 30 times, but because each time you go to sweep that room out, you try to sweep it out better than the time before. So that's the only way a helper will advance into becoming more than a helper. No matter what he's doing, whether it's wiping down, whether it is cleaning up, whether it's emptying drops, if you try the best you can and you really put forth an effort to do it better than the time before, you will grow. If you're constantly striving to produce a better product, no matter what it is, you will grow. When I was a helper, I loved cleaning the van out. It allowed me to learn tools. It allowed me to clean it better than it was before, because a clean van is easy to work out of. If you're putting all the tools away and your mechanic is asking for, channel locks or, strippers or new razor blades or whatever it may be that he's asking for, if you clean the van out, you know where everything is. So we're not asking you to clean the van out because we want a clean van. Obviously, we always want a clean van, but when work gets busy, it gets messy. But by making the helper go clean the van out, you're educating the helper on tool placement, the names of tools, where they should be fitted. You don't put a tool in a van. If you're using the tool only once a month, you don't put it in the high traffic area of the van. You tuck it into the back where it's secure and it's away. And when we need it, we go get it. But the tools that are closest to the doors should be the tools that we're using most often. Okay, and this is just logical thinking, but Helpers seem to get discouraged when you ask them to go do this and you ask them to go do that. They're thinking that they're doing the lowest part of the job. And it's not. It's the first step. You need to know where the tools are, and you need to know the tools' names, and you need to know how a van operates before you become the next level of a helper. So the only way, it doesn't matter how much education you have from whatever school you have, you need to learn step one before you learn step two. And a lot of guys get discouraged and they just stop trying, and they're hindering their own education process. All right, each helper has his own pathway to becoming a mechanic. All right, if you catch on, you start listening to your mechanics, and you start listening to the insight of a decent mechanic, you'll breeze through your apprenticeship, okay, without a problem. If you have a crappy guy that's just using you and abusing you for money, you're not going to really learn anything, because all he has you there is for him to make money. That's not an apprenticeship program. And if you're young in this trade, be careful for employers like that. You should be on a constant ladder trying to better yourself, trying to educate yourself further. And if you stop educating yourself or you stop learning, you need to go get a different job. You need to get a job where the mechanics around you are going to better and further your education. At least if you want to excel in this trade. The worst thing you can do is get a couple years of experience and get put into a van and stop learning. You're kind of shortchanging yourself. Some guy offered you a certain amount of money and he puts you in a van, but then all of a sudden you don't further your education anymore because you don't have guys smarter than you on a site anymore. You kind of got stuck. All right, so it's important for helpers to understand that to do the best you can. It doesn't matter if you're cleaning a room. If you're sweeping down a room, try to sweep it down the next time with no dust. Try to sweep it down the next time. Well, why don't you pick up the wire scraps before you sweep? You're constantly trying to improve whatever actions you're taking. And by doing so, you're going to improve your helper status. Okay, and it does come, like, there are helpers that are awesome, and then there's helpers that aren't that great. Like, I have mechanics that don't want certain helpers around. Like, the guy's useless. Like, it's just, then there's mechanics that don't care about their helper and just use them as amusement, make fun of them, or, talk sports with them all day long like he's there for his entertainment only. So there are some crappy mechanics out there. Don't get me wrong. There's mechanics that won't teach you a thing, and this is how I spot like a crappy mechanic. So if a mechanic is partying, drinking, doing his thing, and he has a helper, and the helper learns nothing from him for a full day, that's a pretty bad mechanic. Mechanics should be educating your helper, and the helper should be learning from the mechanic. There's definitely a relationship there, and at least with us, there's a relationship there. I want my mechanics teaching my helpers. I don't want my helpers just sitting there pushing a broom and wondering when am I going to be a mechanic. The helper I'm referring to now, I think in his mind, he thinks that this knowledge of the electrical trade is just going to fall on him. And it doesn't. It's not. The electrical trade does not work that way. You would literally have to. So with a helper that is constantly trying to better himself, as he betters himself, he's going to learn tools. He's going to learn processes of what tool when. So if the helper's paying attention and he knows we're doing lighting, or he knows we're doing outlets or receptacles, or we're running wire, he will then know what tools are going to be needed for then. okay? And if he starts getting everything prepped for the mechanics are going to see that and are more likely going to teach him about the trade. And that's where you cross the line from a helper into an apprentice. All right? A helper just kind of cleans up and preps. An apprentice is in the action, okay? And the further educated along, the further into your apprenticeship that you are, the more you're going to learn. But you have to constantly strive for it. You have to constantly go out and get it. You can't just sit back and think this trade is going to come to you. It's not. You have to go and you have to put forth the effort to and earn your mechanic's respect, and then that mechanic will start educating you. All right, and that's important. That's very important when you're trying to excel in this trade. The first thing is show up 15 minutes early. Never be late. A mechanic, it's the most disrespectful thing for a helper to do is to be late for the mechanic. The mechanic will hold a grudge on you eventually. Okay, it might be he might let you go one or two times, but eventually there's going to be some animosity there. All right, so be on time. Pack your lunch. Okay, if your mechanic's packing his lunch, pack your lunch too. All right, stay off the phone. The phone is the worst thing you like. No one cares about your girl. No one cares about what's going on your phone. Put your phone down. Okay, you know those three right there. You know, you show up early. All right, pack your lunch, and put your phone down. If you just start there, you have a very good chance of kind of picking up what's going on the electrical side of things. All right. I'll go into more because I think as we hire apprentices and we hire helpers, I want them to refer to these videos so we're not just picking on one guy. You know, we've all, like I went through it, the mechanics on my site have gone through it. We all go through the same process to become a mechanic. All right, so it's not like a guy is picking on you or anything like that. We're trying to get you through step 1, 2, 3, and 4 so you can start working on step 5. So thank you for watching. If you are a helper and you're having a tough time at it, hang in there. You know, study your theory. All right, definitely study your theory. All right, it will come about. It might not hit you right in the beginning of your trade, but about your 3rd year in, that theory, you're going to need to start applying that theory to the NEC code book. So make sure you start understanding your theories, okay? Start practicing it. If you don't know your theory yet, there's plenty of avenues to learn theory, whether it's online, on YouTube. The knowledge is out there. It's not hard to find anymore. All right. Thank you for watching. God bless. Have a good one. Bye-bye.